Trade with subterranean people in the Middle Ages. I've been reading a book that fills in a lot of gaps on subterranean civilizations. It's in German and titled Geheime Unterwelt, Secret Underworld, by the renowned cave and tunnel researcher Heinrich Kusch and his wife Ingrid Kusch. They have written several books on ancient cave and tunnel systems across in Austria, Asia, and across the world, and have been lauded for their meticulous work involving radar, digging, and speleology. I've only read the first chapter of Geheime Unterwelt so far, but that was enough to inspire this article. In their books, the authors have proven that prior to 1580, human beings were engaged in trade and business with subterranean beings using a worldwide network of tunnels. Between 1550 and 1590, the Catholic Church ordered all entrances to caves and tunnels sealed and forbid dealings with the underground people. They were closed by official decree. These facts fill in missing pieces I was left with after researching subterranean worlds in my book Levels of Heaven and Hell. From mythology, I knew the entrances were sealed off because they were seen as entrances to hell, but I didn't know when this happened or who did it. I also knew of many researchers who had discovered subterranean caverns and the tunnels that connect them, but I didn't know that in some parts of the world there were legal documents not only on the sealing of holes, but formal business records and property records preserved from the Middle Ages, dealing with relations to the subterranean world. That's much more tangible than the mythology I had used. I previously said the sealing and destruction of tunnels happened thousands of years ago. That may be true, but I now understand that a worldwide sealing also took place as recent as 14 generations ago. As it turns out, there are many families that have documents of business dealings and events ranging back 14 generations and more. As I wrote previously, events of mythology are much more recent. I took a picture of one of several pieces of evidence from the book. Heinrich and Ingrid Kusch have used documents by the Austrian royal family Wurm, which are stored at the Royal Archives in Vienna. This one is dated 1592. The text says that there was a mineral prospector, Strahler, by the name of Arbogast, who discovered a tunnel at an Austrian town called Kalwang. The town is still there today. He promptly made contact to a subterranean tribe called Cayman. Soon thereafter, he began a mutually useful business trade with the Cayman. But the church outlawed business relations with subterranean folk because they were worried about the welfare of the general public and because of certain remarkable events. The authors found tons of corroborating information from around the time. A document from the year 1580 shows that the church ordered the filling of holes, caves, and tunnels below the town of Klosterneuburg, Austria. According to the author, these had been built thousands of years ago. The church ordered the ceilings to be double cemented and flooded, just to make sure nobody ever crept up from below again. These works were to be overseen by guards and civilians to be kept far away. The official order to close off subterranean civilizations was given at the Council of Trent in 1550. It was approved of and enforced by the Catholic Church in the West and the Orthodox Church in the East. A representative of the Ottoman Empire was also present. The entire Christian world of the time and the Muslim world agreed to seal off the gates to hell. The council decided not to publicize the decree. Apparently nothing unusual in those times. Big decisions were kept in church archives, but the public rarely got to see them. Even so, there are reports of church sermons from the time in which people were told to close the holes, caves, mounds, and caverns on their property. It was an ongoing campaign that lasted for hundreds of years, and even possibly to this day, in secret. Royal families around the world were directed to make sure the caves, caverns, and holes in their areas are sealed off. Old documents mention trade dealings with other subterranean people beside the Cayman. There is a race called the Uni, pronounced Uni, another called the Stirps, and a people called Sanadi. For those who know German, this is a fantastic lecture Heinrich Kusch gave at the Ancient Astronaut Society in 2021. The remarkable events that inspired the sealing off of the underworld happened in 1510, 1520, 1561 and 1566, according to old documents. These were sky events or celestial phenomena that were recorded at the time. I've already talked one of these, the event of 1561, in my book Extraterrestrial Linguistics. This is the 1566 phenomena over Basel, Switzerland. The celestial phenomena were taken as a sign by authorities to seal the caves. The authors Kusch interpret the sealing of holes and the outlawing of business with subterraneans as a negative event. They say the Catholic Church is to blame for one of the greatest historical cover-ups of all time. But if I play not devil's advocate but heaven's advocate here, then sealing off the gates of hell might not be such a bad thing. But I disagree with the massive secrecy around this. Even today, most people still reside at the information level of peasants. The ruling elite is still acting as a gatekeeper of knowledge, severely limiting the range of acceptable viewpoints. If the Vatican were truly a positive institution, they'd release the knowledge in their archives to the world instead of keeping people ignorant. The whole thing reminds me of this Bible verse. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven having the key to the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. 2, he laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. 3, and he cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal on him, so that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years were finished. But after these things he must be released for a little while. Revelation 21-3. The book of Revelation is said to refer to the end times, our future. Plot twist. What if this refers to something that has already happened? If the bottomless pit was sealed around 1580, for 1,000 years that would mean until 2580. Or maybe the verse is about the future and the events in the 1500s were there to make sure the underworld stays sealed. Or another possibility, the church took it upon themselves to fulfill the prophecy. Who knows? I don't have enough big-picture knowledge to say. Another text, screenshot from the book Geheime Unterwelt, written by another royal family named Ramming, taken from the Royal Archives in Vienna, AVA. It was written down in the 1700s, copied from a text written in 1512. The text talks about the family Ramming at one time having been free farmers who built a castle of the same name in 1130. It mentions their genealogy and the fact that they had been doing business with the subterranean Kara people. That's a direct quote. It also says that because of the family's connections to the subterranean people, they were able to help the venerated lords of the Blackstone become independent. Who were the lords of the Blackstone? According to the authors Kusch and others, they were a splinter group and successors of the Knights Templar who had gotten their vast wealth through the magic of a Blackstone which they had retrieved from the subterranean realm. I'll just briefly mention the strange discovery and fact that many subterranean tunnels lead to churches and monasteries. Kusch, for example, discovered an elaborate tunnel system below the Abbey Vorau in Austria. In my book, Levels of Heaven and Hell, I say that large pyramids have tunnels that lead to the underworld. It's thanks to the work of Kusch that I know that churches have them too. Unfortunately, the book I have been referencing here has been removed by the publisher and by Amazon. The publisher claims that the book was removed due to inaccuracies, without specifying what these inaccuracies are, except that they don't relate to the primary body, his work. A screenshot from the publisher's page for the book, as of today. The publisher could have added a disclaimer to their book about the contentious information. Removing the book entirely means there may have been lawsuits. I can only speculate because I found no discussion of this anywhere. Sometimes I wish humanity cared more about the world they live in and have a topic like this trending. Instead, crickets. Meanwhile, the other books of the authors are still available through the same publisher. The following is not based on the author's Kusch, they are my ideas on this topic. I own a lot of books that have disappeared from the market. More than 50 at least. That might seem amazing to you, but it's nothing unusual for me. There are people who are desperate to withhold information from the public, but it's getting more difficult to do so. One of the things they don't want people to know about are the subterranean people. Even up to the 1800s, the idea of subterranean tunnels crossing countries and even continents was common knowledge. I posted this example on my Telegram channel half a year ago. Even though tunnels had been ordered sealed long before, Napoleon appeared to know of the Eurotunnel connecting France and England hundreds of years before the new subterranean train tracks and highways were built. Construction for the Eurotunnel or Channel Tunnel between France and England began in 1988. Grand opening was on the 30th of October 1990. In those days there were rumours that the builders were using an already existing ancient tunnel to build their new one. And what to make of the Lords of the Black Stone? Some conspiracy theorists claim that the Knights Templar or their successors still rule the world by using their magical black rock. There is an investment group called BlackRock which owns stakes in almost every major media, military and pharma company in the world. I posted this on my Telegram channel some time ago. It's interesting that this financial superpower calls itself BlackRock. Ancient legend has it that anyone who got possession of the BlackRock could rule the world, or maybe the BlackRock Investment Group are merely using the name inspired by the old legend. Researchers also claim that all of these symbols of power are really just Knights Templar symbolism, because it is they who still hold the power. It is interesting that the City of London and the Vatican are sovereign and independent, operating outside of the laws of the countries they reside in. Switzerland is the centre of world banking. Our modern finance system was originally developed by the Knights Templar. Maybe the forbidden business dealings of the Templars with subterranean people is what really turned the Church against the Templars. The Templars were persecuted for having become heretics, but judging by the symbols used by the Jesuits and the Vatican, it would seem that the Templars have meanwhile successfully infiltrated and taken control of the Church. Some people speculate that the sealing off of tunnels and caverns still goes on to this day. You see such claims in social media memes such as this one. Others believe that the military is still actively engaged in subterranean combat against unknown people who live inside Earth. Example articles on this. I don't know if we are in combat with subterranean worlds today. All I know for sure is that so-called government transparency is a joke. Any human being who lives and breathes on the surface of planet Earth has the right, by birth, to know what kind of world they live in. We wish to know what's below our feet and why so much effort is put into covering things up. Even the most simple questions, why the book I am currently reading has been removed, are difficult to answer. The most important word of our times is therefore transparency, the ability to shine light on things, freedom of information, the right to become aware of what was previously concealed so that every individual can make more informed decisions moving forward. I will now go read the rest of Geheime Unterwelt